for you, my lovelies and loves. If you're in your late 20s, you're starting to think about having kids and you think you can't. That it's like a little notion in the back of your brain. And I have been fortunate enough to have this conversation with a lot of people. So today I'm going to have this conversation with you. And if is important to you and you respond to this, please leave comments because there's so many people going through this. Women, men, people who identify differently. This is a huge issue in our time. And so Granny's here to share life truths with you. This is one I know about, so let's talk about it. The first one is, if you're like other women I've talked to, I'm just focusing on women for the moment, you don't actually know if you can't get pregnant. You think maybe you can't get pregnant, but you don't know. And you're worried about it because mostly you're worried if you've been on birth control pills and you think maybe that's going to mean that you can't have kids, or you've been using some kind of barrier contraception and you haven't had a whoops and you think you can't get pregnant, or you made the choice when you were younger for whatever reason to stop a pregnancy and you're worried that that means that you can't have kids. But it's a worry and it's not reality. So there's kind of a two-step progress that I'm recommending here. The first one is take a few months to just focus on getting healthy. It's easier to get pregnant if your stress levels are low, if you're eating correctly, if you're working out. If you smoke anything, probably a good idea to stop. If you're doing recreational drugs, you need to cut those way down or out, actually, and that includes alcohol. So the first thing to do is focus on making yourself a healthy vessel. You want to prepare your body no matter what. But if your idea is that you want to get pregnant, that's the first thing you have to do. The second thing that's really important is to start right away to track your ovulation cycle. You may think that because you haven't gotten pregnant, you're not getting pregnant, but it could just be that you're having sex on days that no egg is waiting there, right? I've run across a lot of women where that was the case, where date night did not coincide with, oh, there's an egg waiting for that little swimmer. So start tracking your ovulation, which is really, really important to know. And as you know, more than Granny, there are a gazillion apps out there that are ovulation trackers so that it makes it very easy to track your cycle. Just track it for, 3 to 6 months and see, is your cycle regular? Are you ovulating consistently, or is your cycle really weird so you don't exactly know when you're ovulating? So during this sort of getting ready to get pregnant time, you're getting your body ready and you're getting your mind ready by saying, I know when the right time is. And I need to call my baby daddy home for work from home lunch because now is the moment. That's kind of the prep stage. The next thing to do is get recommendations for a gynecologist obstetrician who specializes in fertility. I am hoping that your insurance or your significant other's insurance pays for a workup. And if not, then find a way to get the money. I know you can. You need to know what is and what isn't working. Until you have somebody combing through your body and your significant other's body, you don't know which parts may not be working so well. So you don't know what to fix. And I have known so many women in their late 20s who had different things that weren't working that can now be fixed. I knew a woman who only had one fallopian tube that was working. It was blocked. That's okay. It just meant that her window was every other month, right? So I know women who were with a guy who thought he was like a sperm king. Maybe he produced a lot, but they were not good swimmers, right? So you and your significant other need to have a workup, because until you know if something isn't functioning, then you can't fix it. And you want to get the detail about that. So I'm going to stop here and take a breath and say, does it feel weird to you that I'm saying to get this work up in your 20s? I bet it does. And I think it's probably something that could make you tighten up a little bit, which we don't want. The reason I'm telling you to do it in your 20s is so you'll know what needs to happen. You know, sometimes you need just a mechanical fix. Sometimes there's a bigger issue. Time is on your side when you're in your 20s. It's going to be much easier for you to get pregnant in your late 20s than in your late 30s. And so the younger you can start wrestling with this question, the better. I know I'm your granny, and your granny in real life, and maybe your folks are pressuring you to get pregnant, get pregnant, get pregnant, get pregnant, right? I know how it goes. You know, you're having brunch with me on Sunday, and if it were real brunch and I was making pancakes for you, you'd be thinking, oh my God, she's going to say, when am I going to have grandchildren? I'm not doing that to you. No, I don't even do that to my own family anymore. I had to be taught. It's just reality is reality, and you want to pay attention to your timing. So, of all the things that could be wrong, and there are a lot of them, and that could not be working correctly, there is one deep truth that you may be hanging on to that I want to eliminate if I can with you right now. It is not your fault. It is not your fault. Let me say it again. It is not your fault. No matter what choices you made earlier in your life that you now are ruminating over and thinking, I did this to myself, or it's my fault this happened, or if only I hadn't, whatever. In order to welcome a new child into the world, you don't have to do anything I say. It is better and improves your chances of welcoming another child if you let go of the self-blame. I know that because I blamed myself so much, so hard, so long. And that makes you fundamentally unhealthy in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. However you can let go of the it's my fault, the better off you're going to be. That's a dynamic, by the way, that you want to stop at the beginning with your significant other, with the person you're thinking of bringing a baby into the world with. If there is a person, we're talking about getting pregnant and not having a child, which we'll do later. And that's the discussion couples get into about fault. So I'm still hearing this. It's crazy to me. A woman and a man decide they're going to get a workup about fertility. And I hear the phrase, we want to see whose fault it is. Really? Are you kidding me? It is nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. There is no fault. There are body parts that work. There are body parts that don't work. We don't know how any of this happens. We don't know what's going to be possible 10, 20 years from now. But what we do know is that building a relationship and deciding to become parent, if you're starting out by squabbling about whose fault it is, not good, not good. So that is another reason to have the conversation early. If you are hearing from your partner or thinking about your partner, it's their fault, or you think they're thinking it's your fault, that relationship is not strong enough to bear the weight of a child. Just not. Because you're starting out in a down position of making each other lesser when you're going to need every bit of energy you have once you work this out and you do bring a child into the world. There is nothing that will tire you, that will take every ounce of energy and more, that will, shred your last nerve like having a child. Every parent will tell you, you have no idea. Right? You have no idea. So you want to start in a strong place, and that means this is kind of the beginning of your learning how to parent together. If you can't parent together by learning how to get pregnant together, then you're not meant to be parent. That's just a cold, hard, granny truth. And if you want to comment on that, and if I'm being too finger waggly and bossy, I've been told that before, and I would welcome you telling me again, oh, granny, you don't know anything. Yeah, maybe not. So let me know in the comments. Okay, let me wrap up with this. You've got this. You've got this. If you put your full intention on getting pregnant, one of two things will happen. You will get pregnant and bear a child, or you will need to do this another way. And that's okay too. Things tend to happen the way they're meant to happen. Starting the journey as early as you can, maybe even a tiny minute before you think you're ready, is the wise way to go. I love you. I'm with you. I'm holding your hand. It's okay. Just start now. Love yourself the way you would want someone else to love your child's mama. That's the first step, right?